But I think there's another way. I think there's a more transcendent way. I think there's a more noble way. And as we try to help you unpack that through the connection, the partnership with the Rogue Collective, we teach you to walk in this operating system of what we call the Rogue Way.
Created on purpose and for purpose.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daron Earlewine podcast. So excited to be back with you. And wanted to start this episode off with saying thank you. I want to thank you to anyone who reached out during my sabbatical this past summer to reach out to say, hey, you're thinking, praying for me. It's just cool to have a community around this podcast and to be able to grow together. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to take a minute and just thank everyone who is a financial partner with Blackbird Mission. We are a nonprofit, and we bring all the resources that make everything happen around DaronEarlewine.com and have laid the foundation for what we're doing with the Rogue Collective. And so if you're a monthly partner financially, I just want to say thank you so much. And if you're at a place where what we've provided for you resource-wise, whether it be through the book or through the podcast or through Spiritual DNA, and you'd love to help us expand the opportunity and the ability for us to continue to bring these resources to awaken people to become who God's created them to be. You can go to blackbirdmission.com/give and become a monthly partner with us. Or if you're a person who maybe God has blessed extravagantly financially, and you would like to make maybe a one-time gift to help us move some projects forward, we would welcome that. But just want to start today with a note of gratitude before we jump into the content. So if you listen to the last episode and you're listening in order here, which I know not a lot of you do, some of you do, and I just let you know a lot of times this is what we do. We put together a series, right, where things actually go in sequential order together. And so if you haven't noticed that, take a look on your app or on YouTube and realize, oh, there's a series here. And this series is called the Rogue Collective, the Rogue Way, the Rogue Life is what we're talking about. In that first episode we just talked about the Rogue Life and about how my life was changed by beginning to realize that I didn't have to live as a rebel, right? That God had created me as a rogue bee. And as I began to understand that and embrace that, God led me to creating and stepping into a life that was woven together with what we're calling transcendent threads. We walked through that in the first episode. What I want to unpack for you now is what we call the Rogue Way, which is really an operating system for life. It's not a curriculum, if you will. It's not a program, but it's something deeper, I think, and more transcendent than that. And I'm using this as a framework when I'm working with folks right now. We are offering coaching as a part of the Rogue Collective. That coaching can be done individually, or it can be done together in what we call a band, which is a group of 4 to 6 people that come together twice a month virtually. And I coach you on how to actually live the Rogue Way, how to step into becoming who you were created to be. And so we're doing this with companies. We're doing this through half-day, day-long workshops, and we're doing it through these coaching cohorts that will last as little as 3 months, 4 months, I guess, as little as 4 months, and as much as a full year or more, depending on what works for your life and what you're looking for. And the first thing we do is we start walking through this Rogue Way. The first 4 months that I spend together with someone is going to be unpacking what I call the 4 noble quests. And so a lot of this is around around 4s. There's not really anything significant to that. Usually when I do a sermon, right, they're 3-point sermons. I don't know. Maybe we just had to make it one better. I'm not exactly sure. But everything has 4. So there's 4 transcendent threads. And then now we're talking about in this Rogue Way, the 4 noble quests. And the reason I call it the 4 noble quests is I think there's a lot of quests, if you will, that we take in life. And I find that a lot of them aren't real noble. The word tells us, right, that right, whatever is honorable and praiseworthy and noble, right, to think on these things. And not just think, but to pursue, right, to allow them to be something that guide and direct your life. And I don't know that we take time to really think that deeply sometimes about the quests that we're on. I think if there are a few that shape a lot of our culture, I think a lot of us are on a quest for popularity. right? That starts in junior high or sooner. I'm sure if we could all sit around a campfire right now and tell stories, I'm sure you got a great junior high story about what you tried to do to be popular. I can remember in junior high, I'm going to date myself in this, but when I was going into like sixth grade, I went to a middle school. And I can remember going to my first day of middle school. We didn't have much money. My dad was a small church pastor, bivocational, and Guess jeans were big. You guys remember Guess jeans? I mean, they're still out now, but this is when Guess jeans was like popping off. And in sixth grade, what was cool was overalls. And if you remember, this is like back, like crisscross will make you jump. Like you wore your stuff backwards, or if you wore overalls, you always had one strap off was how you wore your overalls, and you were cool back in the day. And so somehow my parents got enough money, and I remember I had one pair of Guess jean overalls, but they were shorts because it was Arizona and it was 8 billion degrees. And I can remember first day of school rolling up my black Guess shorts, overalls, one strap off. And for that day, starting off sixth grade strong, I was cool. Then Tuesday came, and I don't know what outfit I had. It wasn't in style or name brand. But we try to do things to fit in. And it's this quest we have of I have to be popular, because if I'm popular, then I've made it. Then my life is worth something. And that is not a noble quest. It doesn't take long for us to just read story after story after story of people, whether they are some kind of celebrities. And obviously in the age of social media, you can be a celebrity for really absolutely nothing. But you see people who get tons of popularity and tons of fame, and guess what it does? It's not noble. It's not something that actually builds a life of significance. It's actually something that destroys them. Some of us, it's not about maybe popularity, but we're driven. I've got to have possessions, right? This idea that I am, my identity is about what I have. And so I have to do whatever I can to have status symbols from possessions. If I don't have a nice car, I'm nothing. I got to have a new pair of Jordans, or I'm nothing, right? I got to have a Louis Vuitton bag. And if I have one, if I have all the name brand stuff all over my life, then I'll have made it. Then I will be worth something. Then, I will have a noble life. And you get there and you have it and you realize, now I just have a lot of stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of times to get a lot of stuff, I've either had to work too long, completely destroyed my relationships, or I'm in debt out of my mind. And it didn't bring me the freedom. It didn't bring me a flourishing, a flowing of life. I didn't live a life that blessed others. My life wasn't a conduit. I did everything I could so I could have and have more. Possessions, not a noble quest. And then I think some of us, we go for the power. Like it's for us, it's not so much popularity. And maybe it's, not even about possessions. You're like, I don't really care, if I have name brand stuff. But for me, what I want is power. That's what I'm looking for. And it doesn't take too long for us to look at the lives that are being lived that look a lot more rebellious than they do like rogues, and people are doing everything they can to get and to maintain power. And then you get it and you realize, once again, not a noble quest, not something that I necessarily want to pass on to someone, not something that has made me someone that I actually like to look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah, I'm proud of myself. This life that I've lived is noble. It's praiseworthy. And so it's not popularity, it's not possessions, it's not power that lead us to live a noble life. These are not noble quests. I'm not saying on their own that they're necessarily evil, right? I mean, if you know a lot of people, you got a chance to influence, but are you influencing them to bless their lives? Or are you influencing them to make yourself feel better about yourself? I'm not saying that possessions are bad. We got to have stuff. I mean, Jesus was like, listen, I know you need clothes. I know you need, like, the Father gets it. You can have stuff, but does your stuff have you? And power or influence, I don't think is a negative thing. A lot of people have, I think God can raise people up and give them a lot of influence. But for what? Are you influencing for your own power, for your own authority, for your own glory, for, once again, so you can have more popularity and more power and more influence, so you can have more possessions? Like, it's just this kind of self-defeating, and I think sometimes loop of destruction in our lives. And I think it is predominantly the way that our world operates. But I think there's another way. I think there's a more transcendent way. I think there's a more noble way. And as we try to help you unpack that through the connection, the partnership with the Rogue Collective, we teach you to walk in this operating system of what we call the Rogue Way. And the Rogue Way breaks down with 4 noble quests. And here's what they are. The first noble quest is destiny. The second noble quest is freedom. The third noble quest is love. And the fourth noble quest is activation. Now, I can't walk you through the depths of what we work through in this, because it takes us, about a month to unpack these and to actually begin to implement them into your life, that they're not just things that you understand, but the way you live. So I'm going to do like a 40,000 foot flyover here, and then we'll unpack each one a little bit more in the upcoming episodes. Okay, the first one is destiny. And this is core to what we've said on the podcast for years and years and years. Here's the underlying thought, and underlying belief, underlying quest, if you will, is that you were created on purpose and for a purpose. Okay? You were created on purpose and for a purpose. And it is imperative to your life that you discover that purpose and pursue it for all that you're worth, because you're worthy of it. Because God actually created you for it, and the world needs you to step into why God created you in the first place. And so that first quest is helping you unpack, what is my destiny? What is my destiny? What is my essence? What is my purpose? And how can I get a lot clearer on what that is, so that I stop wasting my time pursuing anything except my purpose, right? That's the first quest. The second one is this. It's freedom. And like I said, we're going to unpack these in greater depth. You'll notice this was one of our transcendent threads we talked about in the first episode, and it's so key. I believe that God created us for freedom, and He created us for joy. And those two are often very much connected. And finding freedom in our life is the hard work, which is why most of us don't do it. And we pacify ourselves with possessions and popularity and, power, existing. But I would say there aren't a lot of us that if you said, hey, would you say that your life is really defined by freedom? I think a lot of us would say, man, I wish it was, but it's just not. And so what we want to do with this noble quest is go to work, the hard work of figuring out what is holding you captive, what is keeping you from being free, and what does it look like to begin to walk in that. It's the second noble quest. Third noble quest is love. You say, well, wait, now, Daron, I'm starting to notice a trend here. Wasn't that one of the transcendent themes too? Yes, it was. And it would make sense if you have a transcendent thread that forms this life that God has for us. It makes sense that we would work it in to say, okay, well, it's got to be one of the first 4 quests that we go after. Is I'm going to go after something that I know is foundational to who I am as a human being, that's going to lead me to freedom, it's going to lead me to joy, it's going to lead me to the things that I know in my depths of my heart and my soul that I want to be a part of my life. I want to be a part of my marriage. I want to be a part of my parenting. I want to be a part of my friendships. I want to be a part of my career. And so what does it actually look like to have the quest of love in your life? And this isn't about, right, there's three words that are, kind of connected to love. This idea of eros, right? Or erotic love. That's more about romance. We're not talking about that. It's not like quest of my life, right? Is the ladies or the men, whatever. No, the quest of your life is not erotic love. And the other word there is the kind of the core word behind Philadelphia, or phileo, right? Which is this idea of brotherly love, which is good. Like friendship, that's a good quest. It's not the most noble, right? Because I think there's a greater depth, a greater height for us as human beings. So it's not eros, right? It's not erotic. It's not just brotherly love, but the word for love that we have in the Greek is agape. Agape or perfect or divine love. And I believe that's what we're capable of. And I believe that's what should be the focus of the noble quest of our life, that I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to become someone who loves unconditionally. And I believe there are unique people that you are uniquely actually created to love unconditionally. And I don't mean just like finding a spouse. I mean, I think there are people groups, there are people that have gone through different journeys in life that when you get around them, you say, you know what, we have a commonality there. And there's something unique about my story. There's something unique about the quest that I've been on that is unique to yours, that I'm actually uniquely equipped to bring a level of divine love into your life, right, that I might not be equipped to do. And what we want to help you do is get narrower on that, to get focused in on that. Who is the other, if you will, that Jesus talked about, right? Who would in the great story of the Good Samaritan, right? Who would be the other in my life that would be maybe the most challenging, but yet the most rewarding kind of person that I've been created to love and to make a difference in? And how do I stay in that place of love? We want to help you unpack that, help you understand that, and that noble quest of love. And the last one is this, the last noble quest that we want to help you walk into, experience. It's called activation. You know, like activation? Activation. Because I don't know about you, but I've been to, I love conferences, love inspirational places, speeches, that kind of stuff. And what I've found with a lot of things that have inspired me, things that I've wanted my life to be around, is that coffee's one of them. I need more caffeine. No, is that I go learn great things. I'm inspired by things. I'm like, yeah, man, absolutely. And then I actually never put a plan together to do anything with what I've learned. And so I have, shelves full of participant guides from different conferences I've been to, or I've got shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of books that I've read or listened to. And as I'm reading them, I'm inspired. That's so good. That's awesome. I love it. Amen. And it's like, well, what are you going to actually do? How are you going to activate this knowledge, this truth into your life? I don't know. I was just inspired by it. Next book, and life never changes. What we want to do is we teach you to live this rogue way. It's not allow you just to go, man, I agree with everything we learned, Daron. This is good information, but help walk with you to where this begins to be, there's a plan put together to actually activate this operating system in your life. Here are the things I'm going to do with my work, with my life, with my relationships at play. Here are the plans that I actually have to activate this operating system of destiny, freedom, and love into my life, so that it begins to be the rogue way that I live. There it is. That's the rogue way, right? These four noble quests: destiny, freedom, love, and activation. And if this is the kind of way you've been looking for, this is the kind of life you've been looking for, if this is something you need to begin to move forward in because you feel stuck, you feel like maybe for you, you've exhausted the popularity, possession, and power quests in your life, and you're like, this is empty, and I'm done, and I really need some people to walk within this. That's why we've created the Rogue Collective. That's why we want to help you understand the Rogue Way. So if you want some information about that, check it out. Go to DaronEarlewine.com, and there's buttons all over the website that say schedule a call. And we can jump on a 30-minute phone call and be like, hey, is this for you? And if you say, hey, you know what, it's not for me, no big deal. There's going to be something else out there that maybe God's leading to. But for some of you, this is exactly what you're looking for. And I know it because a couple of years ago, it was exactly what I was looking for, to begin to kind of synergize and bring together so much that I'd been learning to actually begin to move forward. And I hope to be able to help you understand that and step into that as well. So if the rogue life, if the rogue way is something you say, this is something I need, reach out, go to DaronEarlewine.com, schedule a 30-minute discovery call. Let's have a conversation to see if maybe helping you find a a band, as we call them here at the Rogue Collective. Put together a band, start a band with 4 or 5 other folks, and see if we can't begin walking this way of life and actually becoming who we were born to be. So, love to hear from you. Once again, you can reach out to me, like I just said, through the website. You can also always text me, 317-550-5070, or reach out through any of the socials. Would love to hear from you. And in the next few episodes, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through these 4 points of the Rogue Way, and I want to go just a little deeper to give you a little more taste of it. We're going to talk about destiny. What does that look like? How do we make some strides into that? Then we're going to take an episode. We're going to talk about freedom and the hard work that it takes for us to gain that, to fight for that. And then the last one we're going to talk about specifically is this idea of love and activation. So those are our next 3 episodes coming up. Hope you enjoy them. And thanks so much for downloading this episode. And until we talk again, don't forget, God is for you. He is not against you. He's near you. He's not far away. And He's created you on purpose and for purpose. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Daron Earlewine Podcast.